All right, let's call this meeting to order, March 16th, 2026, 6:01 p.m. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bracco?
Here.
Councilmember Klein?
Here.
Councilmember Fugazzi?
Here.
Councilmember Hilton?
Here.
Councilmember Marques?
Here.
Councilmember Ramirez?
Here.
Mayor Bozo?
Here. Item 1.3, City Clerk's report on posting of the agenda, please.
Thank you, Mayor. This agenda was posted on Tuesday, March 10th at 3:10 p.m.
All right, the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Councilmember Bracco and invocation by Pastor Trevor Van Laar from Gilroy Presbyterian Church.
Please join me. Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor, City Council members, others. Last night, for just a few seconds, I caught the Oscars before I changed the channel. Maybe some of you did too. If you saw it, you probably saw what I saw. A lot of famous, dressed up, talented people clapping for a lot of other famous, dressed up, talented people. And here I am tonight with all of you. With a lot of humble, unassuming, talented community servants, community leaders, and residents who probably are not walking the red carpet tonight. While sometimes there is some clapping, for the most part what happens in this room is pretty mundane. But I would argue that what happens in this room is more important than what happened last night in LA. As we think about that, please join me in prayer. Gracious God, we thank you for the privilege of serving this community. We recognize the burden of the responsibility carried by this council, the mayor, and the city staff. Please grant them wisdom to govern, a keen sense of the needs of our people, and the ability to work together harmoniously. We ask that you fill this council with your grace as they make decisions that affect our families, our businesses, and our neighbors. Remind us that our residents are the most valuable part of this city. May our discussions today be productive, and may our actions reflect justice and compassion. Lastly, remind us that our public servants, community leaders, and residents are all connected, and that our membership in this community is a call to serve everyone, from the most to the least among us. Grant us discernment to see the path of truth and the strength to follow it. And while we may not always be recognized for the good that we do or hear the applause of others, we ask for your encouragement and blessings in our lives. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Trevor. Item 1.6 is orders of the day. We have none. So we're going to jump right to item 1.7, employee introductions, which will be led by Interim Utilities Director Carl Bajarki. Take it away, Carl. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. My name is Carl Bjarki. I am the Interim Utilities Department Director, and I have two introductions for you this evening. Yenny, can you come on up? I want to introduce Yenny Martinez. She joins the utilities team as a management analyst trainee. Yenny has actually been with the city for nearly 10 years, starting out as a part-timer in our recreation, city clerk, and finance departments. She was promoted to full-time as an accounting assistant until now has served the community in the finance department as an accounting assistant too. Yenny's stellar customer service skills assisting the water and wastewater teams while she was in finance played a big part in our decision to bring her aboard the utilities department. Yenny has a bachelor's degree in business administration from San Jose State University, and she will be putting that education to good use as a key analyst in the utilities department. Yenny is married with 2 kids and enjoys spending time with her father and extended family. I am happy to introduce to you Yenny Martinez and welcome her to the Utilities Department.
Good evening, Council and Mayor. I just want to say thank you for this opportunity to gain more knowledge and continue working for the City of Gilroy and helping the residents here in my new role. Thank you very much.
Tyson, want to step up? I would like to introduce Tyson Enzweiler. He's our Utilities Operations Manager. One of the most important positions identified for the new Utilities Department was Operations Manager, This is a key position that will oversee the field operations for the city's water and wastewater systems. It has been a challenging recruitment as we sought an individual who possesses a deep understanding of the technical side of the field work as well as the big picture business side of utilities operations. We are thrilled to have found that individual. Tyson brings more than 17 years of experience in water utility operations across several California agencies with a strong background in water treatment, distribution systems, infrastructure programs, and regulatory compliance. He has extensive experience leading multidisciplinary teams, including system operators, maintenance crews, and electrical technicians to ensure the safe, reliable, and efficient delivery of water systems. Before joining Gilroy, Tyson served as operations manager at San Jose Water, where he led field operations teams responsible for treatment, distribution, and storage facilities, while coordinating maintenance, emergency response, and capital improvements initiatives. Tyson holds a project management certificate and an Associate of Arts in Business Fundamentals from the University of Phoenix, as well as a water treatment plant operations specialist certificate from Sacramento State University. He is also a state-certified T5 water treatment operator, a D5 water operator, and a California Water Environment Association Advanced Water Treatment Operator Grade 5. Now, I recognize these levels of certification don't mean much to the layperson, but I can tell you these are very significant credentials for someone to have in the water industry, and they confer a level of prestige upon the holder. Tyson lives in Hollister with his wife and 3 daughters. The family enjoys camping, dirt bike riding, beach trips, and caring for their 7 backyard chickens. Please welcome Tyson Ensweiler.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Tyson Ensweiler. Just an honor to be here standing in front of you. Accepting this role in the utility operations manager position is a great achievement of mine, and extremely grateful for your trust. And the creation of this department is important towards ensuring that us, as the city of Gilroy, that we're ensuring exceptional service. And it's my commitment to lead that effort with operational excellence. And we will be the guardians of the infrastructure. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving on to item number 2, we have a ceremonial items. We have a proclamation this evening for the American Red Cross Month, and I will be meeting Camille McCormick at the podium for a presentation.
Sorry for your feet. Yeah, just want to say about 1 minute.
Okay, City of Gilroy proclamation. Whereas the City of Gilroy has a long history of helping our neighbors in need, and American Red Cross Month is a special time to recognize and thank Red Cross volunteers and donors who give of their time and resources to help community members. Whereas the Santa Clara Valley chapter, which covers Gilroy, has had its presence in Central California for over a century and has a team of over 1,500 local volunteers with 67 active volunteers in Gilroy and an active Red Cross club at Christopher High School. Whereas Gilroy's Christopher High School holds a container of shelter supplies for immediate response if necessary and remains a primary shelter site for the Gilroy community, with the Gilroy Senior Center as a secondary shelter site. Whereas the American Red Cross depends on local heroes to deliver help and hope during a disaster by delivering comfort items to military members in the hospital, giving blood to help trauma victims and cancer patients, and using their various different life-saving skills to save those who are choking, drowning, or even suffering from a heart attack. Whereas nearly 40% of the U.S. blood supply is collected by the American Red Cross, requiring roughly 13.6 million of blood annually to meet the needs. Now, therefore, I, Greg Bozo, Mayor of the City of Gilroy, on the 16th day of March 2026, along with my colleagues on the City Council, do hereby proclaim the month of March 26th as American Red Cross Month, and encourage all citizens of Gilroy to support this outstanding organization and its noble humanitarian mission. Congratulations.
I have only one thing to say. I've given each of the council people up here a challenge coin because I'm certain that their ancestors fought in the wars. The Red Cross has service to the armed forces, and a challenge coin was a unit of recognizing World War I, the soldiers and the people. So I am giving this to them in honor of their ancestors that fought the wars for us.
Thank you.
Thank you. The Red Cross challenge coin. Thank you.
Yes, come up here. We're going to take a picture.
Oh, okay.
Bring the proclamation. Over here.
All right, looks good. You ready? 1, 2, 3. All right, we're good. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Camille. Moving on to item number 3, presentations to council. This will be the annual presentation from the city historian, Toby Eichelberry. Come on up, Toby. Thank you very much.
Evening, Mr. Mayor, esteemed council members. It's been another year, and I'm back here once again. Just as a reminder, the city historian position, I work in tandem with the Historical Society, as well as I work with the various offices here in the city, mainly primary with the city's clerk's office, basically providing our local community with support and inquiries about our city's past, our structure, and with basically our community's rich heritage. So accomplishments for this past year. I actually finished the holiday series that I started up writing last year. I actually completed 47 new articles to finish out that entire series, covering every single recognized state observed holiday that's been in there. I've also been working with the Gilroy Visitor Center. I put through an article for the blogs relating to John Muir and his travels within this region. I've been meeting with the Historical Society and also emailing them, working with various networking issues and also some research backgrounds for some of their QR scans that they have. Oops. There we go. So we're working there, plus worked with the city staff with background for one of the projects that was going on was the Golden Hills property, so they needed some historical context and what was happening with the property, so I did that. And then more recently, I've been working with the Grange and the Historical Society and looking for doing a possible preservation for their building. And so we're coming up with ways that they can turn around and try to save the Grange itself. I actually had an opportunity come avail, and I had an individual reached out from, believe it or not, Indiana, where they found a pair of dog tags that were sitting in a locker that they won in a bid, and they reached out and recognized a name from Gilroy, and this was for Daniel Esparza, and I actually managed to research and find his son in Arizona, and was able to get them to link together so the dog tags were actually returned back home with the family members. So that was a big win. I have been doing various networking with community colleges, offering my services as historian as well as speaker with several other programs. I've also been working with Fort Hunter Liggett for the California missions, and then been focusing a lot of time on social media. So I've been getting involved with a lot of influencers and historians that are now carrying the craft throughout social media and such in there. And then working with the city clerk's office, I actually did 754 more files into transcription services. So with that, that brings us to a total completion of 37% of all of the city clerk's minutes are now been reviewed, 9% of all the resolutions, 18% of the ordinances. So in total, there's about 20% of all of them now been with Word documentation. As you know, the Laserfish doesn't have good read. And so I've actually got those all now set up for a review file that we can actually do inside of Word. This encompasses over 50 years of our history that I've actually completed now. So just kind of go highlight real quick. I know we have a little short time, and I got a lot of slides here. I kept one for each of the different years that I accomplished for this last year. So just covering over a couple things in here. You'll notice some colorings that's inside of here when we're looking at the municipal elections. The color coding that I have in here is mainly blue for those who are new into the council at that point. And then we also have the ones that are green, which are actually coming back with non-repetitive or consecutive years. So one of the biggest things that happened in 1902 was we actually acquired new land from Catherine Dunn up in Morgan Hill, so we can actually move the dam that was on the Uvis Creek from down closer in Gilroy closer to Morgan Hill, so we can actually facilitate more water for us here. Also had some points where we had some name changes to streets. So Railroad Street at the point got turned over to be called Walnut Street for a while, and you'll see in a couple of years people were not happy, and so it was reverted back to Railroad Street. Okay. 1903, we had basically a special election held for one of the council members, Eustace, who passed away in office, and we had basically our very first purge, which happened. There was so much documentations and savings that they decided to purge a lot of the documents held in the city clerk's office, and so a lot of it was destroyed at that point in time. So then we only have so much that carried on past 1902 forward. So that was one of the first purges in the city. In 1904, basically that's when the new city hall was actually approved for, moving them over to the Hodling property, in which we purchased it for $3,500 at the time. And then they actually ended up selling the truck house property next to the Mr. Winkler's lot in order to expand that facility out to the large what you see today. And then at the point in time, the electric light plant was being built for the city as well. In 1905, basically we were dealing with a lot of issues still with Chinatown, and so one of the things the police force was tasked with was listing the evils that was happening downtown. And so we're kind of working on cleaning that up down there. There was, at the time, a petition by more than 25% of the elective body inside of the city of Gilroy requesting for a library to be built. And so this was the first talks of bringing a library into the city. In 1906, the flagpole in front of the city hall actually was cut down to 7.5 feet tall so they can start using it as the utility poles for running power across Monterey Street. In 1907, as like I said, Walnut Street got changed back to Railroad Street. And then basically the marshal and the night watchman were instructed to keep even a tighter look in downtown in the Chinatown district, and trying to keep the non-Chinese from gambling because too many people were getting in trouble down there and stuff as well. And in 1907, we had a bad outbreak of smallpox where we actually instilled an entire quarantine over the city. And so it was a short time period quarantine, kind of like what we did with COVID. That also happened at that point. In 1908, the council member, C.N. Hoover, who before this was actually the city clerk, who became the city council member, actually resigned to move out of the state. And also at the end of 1908, a resolution was passed acknowledging the receipt of $10,000 from Andrew Carnegie to work on building our library at the time. In 1909, the public library trustees presented a deed of the former tennis court that was in the area to turn it into the city library that you see, which is now the city museum today. In 1910, the library, as we stated, moved from the city hall, because before, the only place where they had room to have for a library was they took one of the rooms upstairs inside of the city hall. So you imagine when they were doing the banquets and that, they had a little cubicle area set and said, this is your library. This is it. This is the city library. And so they actually moved it from there down to Fifth Street. And at this time, there was also a request for a new plot of land to be made for a Chinese cemetery. And this was actually okayed, and it was actually built, and it was off the 7th green of the present day of Gilroy's golf course. It was back there. And you'll find a placard that's actually in the ground over in the grass area over in that area. In 1911, there was a fence actually put around the Chinese cemetery, and then eventually that all got torn down later down the road. In 1912, basically in here, the state voted to have a highway system actually be running north through south through the state, and then they were going to use El Camino Real, which basically for us it was Monterey Street, and so this was the first growth of the city bringing in more traffic into Gilroy itself. And then we've had a bunch of series of issues with liquor licenses and the problem, to the point where a question on the ballot in 1912 was, shall there be the sale of alcoholic liquors to be licensed in the city? Believe it or not, there was 394 in favor, 327 not. So the majority in the favor of the license was a 68 to start regulating the sale of alcohol. 1913, basically, here was where the telephone company was told to remove the poles off of Monterey Street and let's put them underground. And so this is when they actually were digging up part of the street in order to lay it down. And then also what happened that year is permission was granted to install the clock tower atop of City Hall from the donation from Mrs. Hoaxes. In 1914, basically an ordinance came through, basically forbidding all the metal and wooden awnings on Monterey Street. This was due to storm problems they were having and a lot of problems with damages happening in the city. So this is one of the ways to abate the issue and problem. And also they were having a lot of problem with speeding trains in the city. And so they reduced train traffic down to 20 miles per hour. 1915, we ended up facing a large issue of flies. And so we basically, our health board had to come up with ways to turn around and how to abate and educate individuals on how to properly take care of their waste and trash to try to get rid of flies in the city. All right. So basically that was 25 in a nutshell. 26. My goals for this coming year is to continue working with City Clerk. I'm looking to get about 500 more documents. What that basically means is I'm going to finally be able to complete everything from the beginning of 1870. Will take us all the way to my completion of where I'm at in 1952. So we'll have a completed set of documented items in that realm. I've also started a new Facebook group page that's out there. It's basically, I put the link in here. It's also in your packets. You can also use, instead of the long digit numbers, I've actually created a shortcut in there. It's Californian Historian. You can go in there. And so basically every day I'm actually putting 4 to 5 posts on there, which talks about history in California, different events that happen on the day, basically anniversaries of certain individuals and all that kind of stuff. Looking to turn around and grow this into being a separate page as well, where I'll run one just for the city of Gilroy with all of the research I'm bringing and using it as a depository for all of that as well. This year, I am actually publishing my first book. And so I will have a book coming out this month. I've been working with Amazon to get it up and running. And so they were saying probably by the end of this month, it will be up and available. It's called Observe California Holidays. Basically, I took it as a driving from when I did the 47 articles, put them together with a few more, and turned it all into a book. And then I'm already working on the second sequel to the book, which is talking about holiday traditions. So it's, well, we do the celebrate and various things, which would be, what is a red envelope? You know, compared to what is Santa Claus? You know, so I go through and I cover various different things and aspects around. I'm also continuing to network with all the local community colleges and social science departments, whether it be history or the political science. I'm also working to try to get in with San Jose State University and networking with them as well. I'm also working with the Visitor Center, working on doing a few more blogs for their page. Matter of fact, I just submitted the very first one today, which don't know when he's going to be able to get it online, but Frank has it in his hands now, which basically is talking about the agricultural history of Gilroy. And the first article is on tobacco. And so it was all about J.D. Culp and our tobacco history in there. And then I'm looking to do some additional articles which will go up on the city's website page. That's it. Thank you. Questions? Comments?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Do you have a question for me?
I just want to say thank you. You continue to show value and just passion for this. And so I appreciate that, and I always appreciate your recaps as well. And I'm really happy to hear that you're having a book and continuing to network and stuff out there. So just thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would like to say I'm looking forward to seeing some of your writings on the city website and on the Visit Gilroy website, especially about agriculture. So thank you for doing that.
Most definitely. It's been enjoyable working on a tobacco. It was a year and a half working as I was going through everything else. I kept putting on the shelf to bring it back down, dust it off, do it again. But I'm focused on trying to get all aspects of agriculture. So working through our canning years that we had here, prunes, also working into the winery industry. So I'll be reaching out to a lot of the different families to try to get their histories together and turn around and putting out a series of articles surrounding all of them.
Thank you.
Yeah, I want to thank you for the hard work that you've put in, and I'm a big history person, so I really appreciate seeing all the anecdotes and the things, even the stuff you went through tonight. And from the other side of me, which is the kind of sales and marketing side, and being on the board with Visit Gilroy, I'm really happy to see that that's now something that's going to be happening, because historical tourism is a really growing field, and we can really make use of it here in Gilroy by giving people an idea of the historical flavor and color of things here, and why they might want to come out and visit, in addition to all the other great things we have. So thank you very much for doing that.
Yeah, Frank and I have also been talking about maybe adding to the page a map of physical locations to go with history blogs on there as well, so they can see those blurbs on there.
Thanks a lot, Toby.
Thank you.
I also noticed inside his report that there's a lot of names in there: Prince Valley, Chesbro, Dunlap, Hecker, Mayock, Fitzgerald, that now have these streets and places of interest named after them. So any council member hoping to one day have a road named after him, there's hope. I can't wait to one day drive on the Dion Bracco Causeway as our city grows. Thank you, Toby, once again. That was a great presentation. Okay, so moving on to item 3.2 is public comment by members of the public on items not on the agenda but within the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council. Public speakers.
Thank you. I have 3 speakers. I'll call up Delinda, then McCann, and followed by Greg.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. I'm Delinda Yatskovich, Program Director at Rebuilding Together Silicon Valley. As you know, our organization has proudly served Gilroy community for many years, repairing and rehabilitating the homes of Gilroy's neighbors, individuals with disabilities and low-income families, ensuring they live safely with dignity in homes that are safe, healthy, and accessible. Each repair project we undertake is not merely a construction effort, it is a life-changing intervention that prevents displacement, improves healthy outcomes, increases neighborhood stability, and restores hope. As indicated in Goal 3 of the housing element, preserving our existing housing stock is a critical piece of the affordable housing puzzle. Keeping someone in their home is a relatively small investment when you consider the cost of building a new affordable home, or even the cost of supporting someone who has lost their home because they can no longer maintain it. In the last 2 years, we have made critical repairs and safety accessibility modifications to 37 Gilroy homes. These are the homes of long residents of Gilroy, living in their homes on an average of 20 years, with an average income of $37,000 a year. This directly supports the housing element goal of rehabilitating 35 homes by 2031. Our work not only adds value and quality of life to the individual residents served, but it is a long-term return on investment for the entire community. Every dollar spent on critical home repair saves multiple dollars in emergency services, code enforcement, housing relocation, and healthcare costs. In fact, every $1 spent on urgent home repairs can save $19 on Medicare and Medi-Cal costs. Our organization is uniquely positioned to perform this work. We leverage volunteer labor, in-kind donations, and community partnerships to stretch every dollar far beyond traditional market costs. We thank you for the opportunity to contribute to the affordable housing solutions in Gilroy, and we look forward to your continued partnership and our support. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor and Council. My name is Makkan Gupta. I'm living in Gilroy. First of all, I want to thank all of you guys. For the last couple of meetings I attended, this council and mayor have done a great job listening to the people, talking about homeless people in city. In the previous mayor and council, I did some work with the homeless people, distributing along some funds. I also worked with a group where we were cooking meals for the homeless people, taking to them. We still, time to time, make sandwiches, deliver to them. I am all in favor of helping the unfortunate or homeless people. Question comes in, time to time, we hear all kind of a number of money being spent on homeless people, and problem is still there where it was, if it hasn't gone worsen. My request to all of you is, please continue helping the unfortunate people on the street, but make them responsible. Award them for keeping themselves clean, keeping their area clean, and some or other penalize them when they do litter or don't pick up after them. No different than when my children at home, I want to help them, I want to say, okay, before you eat, I want you to pick up your room. Before you do this, I want you to do this. So please, as you come with a program to manage the situation, please some or other put something in there so they are responsible for what they're doing, keeping themselves clean, organized, picking themselves after they're done making their mess. Again, thank you. We appreciate you guys' help.
Thank you, Mac.
Craig?
Hi, Gilroy community. I just came back from Disneyland, and I was wearing my tank top saying, Gilroy Clove Days, Gilroy Clove Days. And as you see, the love is highlighted in red along with the heart. So we love Gilroy, and we love our clothes. And so while I was there, and you have to stand in line a lot, and I got tons, I mean tons. I can't even keep count of all the people that said, Gilroy, are they having the garlic festival? And they've been to the past garlic festivals, and they want to come to this one. So I spent the whole weekend promoting Gilroy Garlic Festival. So let's make sure that we get people involved. This is really exciting. People from all over California, the United States that were down at Disneyland, and they heard about Gilroy. And what was really cool too was Gilroy, our Christopher High School, had a choir that was down there at California Adventure, and they were on a stage in the Hollywood back lot, and it was at the end of Saturday night, so they didn't get as big of a crowd as they could have gotten, but it was still very well received, and so we were very proud. And I was wearing my shirt, of course, and so people saying, hey, these are your people? Oh yeah, those are my people, and so they said, oh, those are great kids. The Gilroy, choir director, her name was Kelly Walker, she was great, and all the kids. And so Gilroy is well known now because we were down there promoting our city. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg.
I have no further speakers.
All right, thank you very much. Moving on to item number 5. This is board and commission interviews. So, excuse me, what did I miss? I'm so sorry. Moving on to number 4, reports of council members. Councilmember Bracco. Okay, Councilmember Fugazi.
Nothing to report.
Councilmember Marques.
Well, I just have a short one. I am the city liaison person for the sister cities. And I missed January. I missed February because of my surgery on the knee replacement. So I thought, good, I can go in March. Well, they canceled. So anyway, I'll have to see them in April. But they just had their big fundraiser dinner this past Saturday night at the Portuguese Hall. It was a big success. I would say they had around 140 people in attendance, and they are raising money for the ambassadors to travel to the other sister cities and other functions that the sister cities do. Jake Bozo was the chef for that night, and he prepared dishes from all of our sister cities for everyone to taste. And so it was a very, very nice evening. That's it.
Thank you. Councilmember Hilton.
Thank you. From the Valley Transportation Authority Policy Advisory Committee, VTA is developing a local investment plan, Santa Clara County's part of a 5-county regional measure. VTA is focused on 3 primary outcomes: grow ridership, increase productivity, enhance the customer experience, including safety, security, and cleanliness, all delivered in a financially sustainable way. In August, the VTA Board of Directors unanimously voted to join the 5-county regional transportation sales tax measure. The Connect Bay Area Transit Committee is actively working to place a citizens' initiative on the November 3rd, 2026 ballot to secure funding for regional public transportation. Thanks to the diligent work of VTA and our state delegation, Santa Clara County would retain 94.75% of the half-cent sales tax measures for local priority projects. Under SB 63, the state legislation that authorizes the measure, sales tax revenues may be used for public transit expenses in roadway repavement projects on roads served by fixed route transit. Currently, VTA is operating with a balanced multi-year budget and does not need a state loan to cover a deficit like other agencies. The VTA board expects to approve the local investment plan at the June 4th meeting. VTA needs the City of Gilroy's help in crafting a local investment plan, and their chair, Sergio Lopez, has reached out to our mayor's office for the opportunity to present to the Gilroy City Council and discuss our priorities prior to June. From Silicon Valley Clean Energy, the board approved $6 million additional to the home rebates program. SVCE's popular home rebates program provides rebates for heat pump water heaters, heat pump space heating, cooling systems, dryers, induction cooktops, pre-wiring circuits, and electrical infrastructure upgrades. To date, the program has been successful, having served more than 3,000 customers and incentivized more than 1,100 water heaters and 2,300 space heating cooling systems. The additional approved funding will allow SVC to further support residents in electrifying their homes and preparing the region for building electrification. The board unanimously approved, in addition to its 2026 legislative policy platform, directing staff to advocate for extending the operations of the Diablo Canyon Nuclear Power Plant beyond its current statutory retirement dates of 2029 and 2030, building on a history in which allocations from the plant saved SVCE $8.3 million between 2020 and 2024. The approval also directs staff to advocate for a fair cost and benefit allocation to ratepayers, the inclusion of Diablo in planning and procurement orders, and maximize market liquidity. The board also approved adding a policy on support for nuclear investigation and development. And lastly, last week in celebration of Reading Across America, I had fun reading at Luigi Aprea Elementary in Mr. Tavis's class and El Roble Elementary in Ms. Leach's class. I used to read at El Roble Elementary every year with my daughter, Avery's class, so getting invited back there each year holds a special place in my heart. And I always make sure to pass along safe biking and walking education. And come join us on March 27th, 5:30 to 7:30 at Brownell Middle School, where the Gilroy Police Department, GUSD, City of Gilroy, Parks and Recreation Commission, and other partners will be hosting an e-bike, traffic safety, pedestrian awareness, community forum, town hall, Q&A, free dinner, and more. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Ramirez.
Just a couple things. Yes, I also participated in a Read Across the World and was able to read to the 4th grade class at Elliott. I will be going next week. I'll fly down for the day next Friday to Southern California to attend the Cal Cities Housing, Community, and Economic Development Committee meeting. And last week I attended the Cities Association meeting, and we basically spent a study session on ALPRs. We had done a survey of all the cities in the county on whether we use these or not. And then we had a presentation from Chief Jamie Field from Los Gatos Montessorino Police Department and Assistant Sheriff Adam Oberdorfer. It was an interesting conversation. That's it.
Thank you. Councilmember Klein.
Yeah, just a couple of quick things. I was also in attendance Saturday night at the Sister Cities banquet fundraiser, and it's the first time they've been able to do this since 2019, so it was great to see the group together again, just promoting Sister Cities and what it does in this community, but also throughout the world. I was able to attend and participate on Friday at Gilroy High School with the Gilroy Unified School District and the Gilroy Chamber of Commerce, and they did Rock the Mock, which interviewing high school kids, 11th and 12th graders. And it's a great event because we do mock interviews and interact with the students and really get a feel of where they're going. And it's a great thing to be able to be a part of. And there were a number of people here that were there on Friday, so it was great. And I got to help the mayor with baseball opening day a few weeks ago. It was great to see the kids and do their thing. And I got to participate in the dunk tank. So for an hour, I was dunked. So it was a blast being dunked by, I think the younger guys enjoyed that. So anyway, thanks.
Mr. Klein, you did a great job raising funds for Little League that day because the line never ended while he was in that dunk tank. It never, ever ended. So good job with that. Thank you. I have a couple announcements, one announcement from the Gilroy Gardens Board of Directors. Past few weeks, they had a job fair. Gilroy Gardens is at about 80% through of their seasonal hiring, which is over 400 jobs for that park. And they're getting the reason why they're doing that. And by the way, there was 500 applicants for those 400 jobs. So great impact that Gilroy Gardens has on, especially on our youth in this community who do work there. This week is their season opening. So on Saturday will be the opening of their premium pass members. And on Sunday is the Gilroy Community Day, which members of the community can go at no cost. They just need to show up at the gate with some type of proof of residency of Gilroy through a water bill or a PG&E bill or something like that, and you will be allowed in at no charge. So please think about that, of going to Gilroy Gardens this week. Thank you. That concludes my report. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to item number 5, which I tried to do already. The board and commission interviews. So just for members for the public, we are in the process of filling the last 2 spots for our Arts and Cultures Commission, and we have 3 applicants today, and they're sitting in front of us. So thank you very much, you guys, for coming here today. Appreciate it. We have Mina Vijay Kar right here on my left, and we have Rabi Shahid in the middle, and then we have Sabul Siddiqui on my right. So what we're going to do is we're going to ask you guys to come up and sit at this table, and then you're just going to give a minute or 2 about yourself and why you would like to do this, and then you can return to your seat, and then the council will take a quick vote for 2 people who will be selected. Thank you for coming here, the 3 of you. Unfortunately, there are 2 spots available, so there will be 2 people who are selected. So whoever's not selected, please keep us in mind for future interest in the city of Gilroy. If you have an interest in volunteering in Gilroy, we will find a place for you. So thank you very much. And I always like to put this disclaimer in. After your interviews and after the selection, you have no obligation to sit here for the next hour and a half through this meeting. You are welcome to, but if you do leave before that, do not worry. It's okay that you leave. So with that being said, why don't you come on up, and Kim will bring you the mic. 3 of you at one time can come up and sit at this table right here.
Yes. And we'll just start here and move down. So you just want to introduce yourself?
Okay, Sybil, take it away.
All right, good evening, Mayor, and good evening, council members. My name is Sabul Siddiqui. A little bit about myself. I have a bachelor's in engineering from Berkeley and an MBA from Northern Arizona University. I'm really interested in applying for this position because I moved here to Gilroy about 3 years ago, and when I moved here, only from 30 minutes away, but when I moved here, I was really surprised pleasantly by just the community because the neighbors here know each other. They're actually friends. Our street actually has a block party every single year. When you go to the grocery store, you actually smile at strangers, say hello, open the doors for them. And then not just that, we also have such a rich history. I know that the wonderful presentation by the city historian, like we have so many nuggets. I'm personally looking forward to the map that he will be sharing in the future with the historical places. That we have murals, we have the monthly art walk, which I found out about recently. And then the festivals, which are known across Disneyland as well now. So it's actually, we have such a rich culture already and such an amazing community. And so what I really want to work on is just amplifying our voices, our community voices, and making sure that our community is heard and they get the recognition they deserve. And so something I would like to work on is like a unified arts plan for the city of Gilroy. And then tying all of this back to youth engagement and also economic development so that this can become a self-sustaining cycle. So that's just a little bit about why I'm interested in applying. And one last thing is that I think that especially in Gilroy, the arts are not just an afterthought. They're really part of the fabric and the infrastructure of our city. So I think it should be honored like that. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, good job.
Good evening, Mayor and the council members. Thank you for this opportunity to be here. My name is Meena Vijayakar, and I moved to Gilroy from Cupertino about 4 years ago. And Gilroy is not just a beautiful place to move to, but the people are so friendly, like Sybil said. You know, it's lovely to go out and meet your neighbors, and I really enjoy being here. And I have a background as a fitness instructor. I worked at the YMCA for 17 years, and I've always been involved with the community, and I really enjoy doing that. I'm also a very passionate dancer, Indian classical dance, and we have a music club too. I'm part of a nonprofit organization called IASC. As you may be aware, Mayor, you came to our Diwali celebration, but yeah. So I'm a part of that organization, and we bring the culture to the people of Gilroy, Morgan Hill, whoever would like to, participate in our cultural activities. So that's a little bit about me, and yeah. So I thought my dear friend Mac suggested this position, and I thought, let me give it a try because I really enjoy being in Gilroy, and I want to do my bit for Gilroy. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Meena.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to come here. Can you hear me properly?
Oh, yeah, very well. Thank you.
I'm a little bit nervous about it. Actually, my first time here in the city meeting. I was not expecting it's very well organized, and thank you very much, Mayor and City Council. To about it, a little bit about myself. My name is Rabia. I'm a local resident in Gilroy, and I'm also a local realtor. I'm a mom of 2 kids. I'm a volunteer here and there all the time to serve my community, the community work, which I really love to enjoy to promote our culture and through our arts. So I'm also a member of the GECA Parents Association as well. The things really promote me on that. I usually work in volunteer community work. Doesn't matter, it's a field of the homeless. It's a help to promote our school's culture. Because what the thing I promoted when I came here in USA, the love and respect I get it, I want to pay back to everyone. And the beauty of this country is the diversity, which really attract me. And I teach my kids, my youth, the same thing. The sympathy, love, kindness doesn't matter to any nation. It's a diversity, it's a love, it's a care where we can promote through our culture. And I really like every Friday, third Friday, the city organized here a culture event, and there is multiple culture over there too. This is it's a positive vibes for everyone, but there is something missing too. There is more culture representative here in our city, which are lacking, which I really want to promote them, to bring them in front of us too, because when we talk as a parents volunteer, we feel like there is a lot of stuff we can bring in front of our city members. We need to pay attention on them too, like they are feeling like they will be represented too. Like, for example, I represent my culture. I'm from Pakistan, and I present my culture in my kids' school. And there is a lot of, like, this was a culture day, and a lot of, everybody they have from Vietnam, from Chinese, from India, from Pakistan, they represent their countries. And I said how the kids, they stop by to us, they ask us the questions, and we reply them, we tell them where we are, where we feel. So I like that the movements, how our young generation, they learn from us, the respect, the care, the kindness. So that's my motive to represent here today. And I highly appreciate it for you guys, like you give us the opportunity. Thank you so much, really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions for any of the candidates? Okay, thank you very much. You guys can return to your seats if you would like. Just for the public to know, they did submit all of them very impressive and extensive resumes. So if you're wondering why there's not a lot of questions, is that we've been able to review a lot about them in advance. So thank you very much for doing that, the three of you. So just like in the past, we'll have Kim go ahead and just call out council members, and each council member will select two people from the list.
Councilmember Bracco?
Second and third one. So Sybil and Rabia.
No.
Oh, excuse me.
Mina and
Rabia.
Rabia.
Excuse me. You got it.
Rivera and Sabol.
Sybil was the first.
Sybil was first.
Sabol was first. No, I'm talking about on your list.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Fugazzi, Councilmember Fugazzi.
Yeah, Sabul and Rabia.
Councilmember Marques.
Sybil and Rabia.
Councilmember Hilton.
Stabul and Rubia.
Councilmember Ramirez.
Sybil and Rubia.
Councilmember Klein.
Buell and Rubia.
Mayor Boso.
Mina and Sybil.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Oh, go ahead and tally it, and then I'll ask you a question.
No, go ahead.
Isn't there an opening on the building?
Yeah. I'll reach out to
Because I think that Mina would be an excellent candidate for that board.
Okay. I'll reach out to her. Go ahead. You want to announce the winners, please?
Yes, so Rabia and Sabul have been selected to serve each partial term expiring December 31st, 2027 on the Arts and Culture Commission. With a council vote of 6 for Rabia and 7 for Sabul.
All right.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming in. So, Mina, as I said, we'd like to find a spot for you. So if it's okay, I could have someone reach out to you. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. Moving on to item number 6, this consent calendar. So any questions from council for staff on the consent calendar?
I do have one note on the consent calendar. There was a small change on item 6.2, notice of completion for the fiscal year 26 CDBG sidewalk and curb ramp project number 26 PW 303 and approval of the final contract amount of $152,974. The contractor has clarified the final contract amount, which is now $154,979.13, leaving the remaining balance of $21,211.01 instead of the $23,216.14 to go back into the city's CDBG fund.
Thank you. Can we move to public comment?
I have no speakers.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion for approval of the consent calendar, items 6.1 through 6.7. I have a motion by Councilmember Bracco and a second by Councilmember Klein. Roll call, please. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bracco.
Yes.
Councilmember Klein.
Yes.
Councilmember Fugazi.
Yes.
Councilmember Hilton.
Aye.
Councilmember Marques.
Yes.
Councilmember Ramirez.
Yes.
Mayor Bozo.
Yes, motion passes 7-0. Moving on to item number 7, bids and proposals. Award a contract to Stormwater Inspection and Maintenance Services Incorporated, an Apex company for the State Trash Amendment Stormwater Compliance Project. Number 800460 in the amount of $143,370.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council, and community members. I am Mark Johnson, the Environmental Programs Manager, and tonight I'm bringing forward an item to approve or to award a contract for the installation of 73 trash capture devices. As Council may recall, back in December, we brought forward options for complying with the state trash amendments. Staff is recommending moving forward with the installation of 73 certified trash capture devices to meet the first compliance milestone. Staff prepared bid documents and solicited proposals for the installation work. We received 5 bids, with Stormwater Inspection Maintenance Services Incorporated, an Apex company, being we were found to be the responsible and responsive lowest bidder at a bid of $143,370. Tonight, staff is recommending that you adopt a resolution amending the fiscal year 2026 capital budget by appropriating $157,707 from Fund 422, the Stormwater Maintenance Fund, to capital project number 800-460. Award a contract in the amount of $143,370 to Stormwater Inspection and Maintenance Services, and approve a contingency of $14,337, and authorize the city administrator to execute the contract and associated documents. If approved, this project will allow the city to move forward with the first phase of complying with the statewide trash provisions, while staff will continue to evaluate longer-term strategies for future compliance milestones. If approved, this project, the next steps, if approved tonight, will be to move forward with the installation of the 73 small trash capture devices, continue evaluating the city's Track 2 compliance strategy, and release a request for proposal for the program development and data management services, and we will return to council with future recommendations. And if you have any questions, I'm available.
Any questions for Mark? None? Public comment?
I have no speakers.
All right. Well, Kim, would you like to go ahead and please read number 1?
Thank you.
And then I'll look for a motion in a second.
Yes, we are looking for a motion to adopt a resolution amending the fiscal year 2026 capital budget by appropriating $157,707 from Fund 422 to capital project number 800460. And can we do these together?
Separate.
Separate? Okay.
So I'm looking for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Marques and a second by Councilmember Ramirez. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bracco?
Yes.
Councilmember Klein?
Yes.
Councilmember Fugazi?
Yes.
Councilmember Hilton?
Aye.
Councilmember Marques? Councilmember Ramirez?
Yes.
Mayor Bozo.
Yes, motion passes 7-0. Would you like to read the next one, please?
Yes, and award a contract in the amount of $143,370 to Stormwater Inspection and Maintenance Services, Inc., an Apex company for fiscal year 26 small trash capture devices, project number 800460. Approve a contingency of $14,337 and authorize the city administrator to execute the contract and associated documents.
Can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, Okay, great, thank you. I have a motion by Councilmember Marques and a second by Councilmember Ramirez. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bracco? Yes. Councilmember Klein?
Yes.
Councilmember Fugazi?
Yes.
Councilmember Hilton?
Aye.
Councilmember Marques?
Yes.
Councilmember Ramirez?
Yes.
Mayor Bozo?
Yes, motion passes 7-0. Thank you. Thank you a lot, Mark. Great job. Thank you. Okay, moving on to item number 8. Unfinished business. Item 8.1, consideration of a community event support program policy. Raíz?
Alrighty, good evening, Mayor Bozo, members of the council. I'm here on behalf of the Economic Development Department to recommend the adoption of a proposed community event support program policy as a means to codify a predictable and equitably accessible and fiscally responsible event subsidy program. In 2024, this council allocated $150,000 for fiscal years 2026 and 2027 to pilot a program with the charge of centralizing the process and tracking the cost for city services for event support. So we did that, and with the bulk of this year's events behind us, and with a good understanding of the remaining 4 events that we have coming up in this fiscal year, what we know is that $150,000 does not quite reach the goals of supporting all events at full capacity. That said, the gap that we have found is going to be covered through salary savings through the Economic Development Department. But the exercise was a good one in that we had 2 core lessons learned. One of them is that the program simply doesn't work on a first-come, first-served basis. We need a method by which we can review all requests at one time so that we can allocate the limited resources accordingly. And then the second lesson we learned is that we're seeing the size and potentially the number of special events increase in our city. And this puts additional strain not just on the funding, the $150,000 of funding, but on staff's ability to respond adequately and to make sure that we cover the services needed. And that is what brings us to the policy that you have before you today. Let's see. So the program goals simply, for the most part, restate the charge of the city writ large, in that our efforts are community benefiting and inclusive, public safety and compliance are required, there is an equitable and transparent process to available funds, and that we are acting with fiscal stewardship of these public funds in mind. What we added to this program, and is highlighted in blue, is the goal of addressing the projected increase of events that require city services. So on this, and knowing of our projected shortfall, we're recommending a pathway for award proration when it's needed. And what that means is simply that if eligible requests exceed the available funds, the award amounts will be scaled based on the established criteria, which I'll review in a minute, as reviewed and assessed by the Special Events Review Group. So on eligibility, while the eligibility requirements haven't really changed from the pilot program, we've called out a couple of prohibited activities, just to be clear, and that is religious and political campaigning they are prohibited activities. We haven't seen them, but we are calling them out as prohibited. The other thing we wanted to do is make sure that it's noted that events with themes or content that is not in alignment with the general plan are prohibited as a preemptive measure. Again, nothing we've seen to date. So on the review considerations, just as you saw the program goals made their way into the eligibility criteria, you can see the eligibility criteria make their way into the review considerations. What we've added is that event readiness and organizational capacity, operational feasibility, and track record and reporting compliance as additional review considerations. Between eligibility and these review considerations, I do want to note a few things. One is that all of the events listed in the staff report will remain eligible moving forward. So, for example, we have discussed at great length and understand the difference between, for example, a religious event and one that's a cultural event. Similarly, we know that as the program goes, we are going to see more nuances of events that we're going to have to really dig deep down and figure out. But we think with the guidance of the general plan and the eligibility criteria and program goals that we'll be able to address those accordingly. The other thing I want to note is that the subsidy application process is distinctly different from the permit request process. So even if a group is approved for funds during the annual program review for subsidy support, they still have to obtain a special event permit. If for some reason a permit is not issued, then and they've gotten approval for funds, those funds would not be allocated to that event. And then lastly on this note, the event review group is critical to both of those processes, the event and the subsidy process, but we are working through that group to address time cost certainty for the program, special event program as a whole. So we'll continue to address special event through that group. So on the application timeline, because 2027, we're sort of abbreviated in our requested timeline moving forward, we are using 2027, fiscal year 2027 as a transitional year, in that the timing of the application period is a little bit shorter. And we anticipate there's going to be a greater need for staff level coordination because we're asking people to submit their applications all at once instead of over time. That said, moving forward, we'd like to standardize the dates and the deadlines so that the whole program becomes predictable and clear, not just to those who are old timers, but to new folks as well. And because the timeline is new for 2027, we'll be reaching out to all of the known folks who have historically done special events in Gilroy so that they understand the new process. We'll be hand-holding them through that process. And then moving forward, we're going to be developing a communication plan for future years. Policy options. So mostly I wanted to let you know that we considered other policy options. We remain open to other things if there's something that we haven't thought about. But in considering the options, at least these options that you see before you on this slide, we realize that in one way or another they may not address the program goals, or they might be too difficult to implement or manage if we pursued them. For example, caps by event tier or size, that was just a rabbit hole of possibilities, and we realized that was just would be too difficult to manage and could change year over year. And then just another note, adjusting allocation based on demand, for example, that wouldn't reach the goal of being fiscally responsible. So with that, staff of the Economic Development Department recommends the adoption of a resolution establishing a community event support program policy by formalizing a nonprofit subsidy program for community events, special events, and the authorization of staff to implement the program for fiscal year 2027 using the updated timeline, review considerations, and reporting requirements, and staff is available for questions.
All right, I'll open the floor to questions from council. First person is Councilmember Fugazzi.
Got a few different questions here. First of all, I believe it's in the report, but just to make clear, the amounts that are here were for mainly public safety services, overtime, basically amounts that were booked to the city, right?
That's correct. So this is the first year that that we tracked the actual cost of day of services, if that's your question.
And so 100% of the need was covered by the city for all of these events?
That's correct. And also, we will cover, through salary savings, the remaining 4 events so that there's not a discrepancy between those who came before, used up all the funds, and those coming after.
And some of these events had private security as well. Who paid for the private security? Was that the event?
The event.
Okay. And when we're trying to look to see how to divvy some of this up, I was curious. There's 7 events by Downtown Business Association that spent exactly the same amount as one of the other events. Is there any idea or understanding of why that is? That some take more than others?
Well, if I understand the question correctly, it really is a matter of the type of event. So a movie event might not be the same as a beer crawl or something like that. Am I understanding your?
Yeah. So if we have Downtown Live and it does segregate part of the city or some of the city, and it it looks on here like it takes $4,000 to do that or thereabouts. But if we have, let's say, the Tamal Festival, it's $36,000. 9 times as much money. Is it just size, or is it the?
Yeah, I think it's size. To be fair, I'm new and have not been to any of these events. Okay. So, but on the whole, when it comes to special events, it is a question of size. It's a question of the event's objectives. So again, it's street closures. It's how can we accommodate. Hopefully that answers your.
So going forward, if an organization needs $36,000 and we basically come to some like $20,000 cap or what have you, first question is the expectation that they're going to have to pony up to the city then the other $16,000?
Correct. So, and this is where the idea of proration comes into play. If we know that the number of applications and the need for those events based on history or based on, the new application, we will as a group look at those events and assess what's possible given the pot of funds. It is clear in the policy that we would, you can't say, well, then I don't want to use police or public works or whatever it is to do this event. So they would be therefore responsible for any overages from what this subsidy provides as billed post-event.
Now, given that, have you worked out, some of the what-if scenarios in some of this as you look at it and go, wow, $36,000 for one event, I don't know that that's going to fly. We might have even more events we'd want to with your economic development and whatnot. And maybe it is $20,000. We went and spoke to this organization or that organization and found out that they would or would not be able to have an event if that were the case. Did we do some of that already?
Right, we do some of that already, but what we're looking to do when we're looking at the timeline is to ask all applicants, and this is common for grants, to ask all applicants to submit an application based on their best knowledge of their event, right? So nuances of the event will become more clear during the permitting process, but we're asking applications to come in January through March moving forward so that we can assess everybody at the same time. Again, there is a lot of staff hand-holding, not just through the Economic Development Department, but through our partner departments. To be clear, we won't leave people hanging. We'll continue to provide hand-holding services. But at that point, we should receive all applications so we can look at the pool as a whole and allocate funds accordingly.
Okay. Just a couple more shorts. So clarification things in the way that the addendum was written on here. It says it has to be Gilroy-based nonprofit, but then says, or it can be not a Gilroy nonprofit if they do substantial work. So is it or is it not required to be a Gilroy-based nonprofit?
The true requirement is that the event has to take place within the city limits of Gilroy.
No, it says applicant type.
Oh, sorry.
The applicant type has to be a Gilroy-based nonprofit organization. Oh, I'm sorry. On here it's 94 on my PDF.
Are you looking at the actual policy document?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what I'm looking at.
Okay.
It's the addendum to the resolution.
Oh, right. Okay. Our intention is that it should be just that the event itself has to be within Gilroy. Are we requiring them to be Gilroy nonprofits?
Hello, everyone. Victoria Valencia, Economic Development Manager. When we were putting this together, we looked at other policies that the city has in place, and this language was pulled from the CDBG grant criteria.
Okay, that's why I'm just asking the clarification, though. Where it's pulled from, it doesn't matter. It's just they have to be a nonprofit based in Gilroy or not, because it seems like it just seems ambiguous. Do we want them to be? That's the first question, not even what it's in here. Is that what we want?
I appreciate you calling that out, and I apologize for the oversight on that, for not catching that earlier. My recommendation would be that they're not required to be a local nonprofit, because what we're really looking for is events that benefit the community, and that it would not be a requirement for them to be a Gilroy-based nonprofit. So we will edit.
Do they have to be a nonprofit?
For the funds, yes. To do an event, no.
Okay. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Obviously, yes. The last thing is on the religion one, because I know you do have, and I'm sure you've spoke about the Our Lady of Fatima one that's on there.
We consider them a cultural event based on how they present themselves both on their website. Yes, they have religious components to it, but those are the nuances that we're talking about when we're looking at events that may come through. And therefore, because we consider them cultural based on Portuguese culture, and there's
over to the
religion
city attorney,
is a piece of it.
have we gone over this with the city attorney? Because I'm just saying, because I know this can get us into weirdness maybe, and if it's okay with Andy over here.
I think it's acceptable as written.
Thank you.
Okay.
But you are correct. You are correct. This can lead to weirdness, but hopefully.
Yes, because I only go off of what I read on the internet and talking about that it's, including rosary prayers and other things like this. So
the portion that we are supporting is the procession down the streets, and they when we looked at the website, they present themselves IFDES, I think it's called. They present themselves as a cultural heritage organization.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. All great questions. Thank you so much. Let's move on to Councilmember remarks.
Yes, I have a concern because every year I would assume these costs are going to be going up. And I really have a concern for the nonprofits who are putting on these activities, raising the money, and then it becomes so cost prohibitive, everyone's going to lose in the end because they're not going to be put on. I was a member of the Holiday Parade Committee, and I saw how much money we had to raise just to get the parade done. And when I saw, I think, $27,000 for all of this extra security, that could really do that whole activity in, because it was hard to get $22,000, just to run it. I would like everyone to hear a breakdown of that $26,000, because I was told at one time, and correct me if I'm wrong, that we'll just take one police officer, that only does he get salary, but medical's figured in, retirement's figured in, all these other factors. Is that true?
I'm sorry, I can't speak to the breakdown of salary savings, but I can speak with
the short answer is it depends on whether it's overtime driven or not. If it's overtime driven, then all the additional items are not necessarily layered in. What we calculate is a productive hourly rate that gets charged. So it really depends on if we're bringing in folks on overtime to provide coverage or not.
So it would behoove any group then to make sure that they had people that were on overtime, correct? Because if it was a regular, okay, so clarify this then. If it was a regular, okay, if it's not overtime, then it would be just regular pay that, and all those other items kick in?
Majority of the time, these events are over the weekends or after hours, so majority of this cost is overtime for public safety and fire personnel, as well as public works staff, that not only do they have a provision for the number of hours that they're spending, but there's a minimum required call out that we have to compensate the employees per the MOUs as well. So there's multiple factors that go into considering this.
So then a
majority of it is overtime.
So then a nonprofit would really want to make sure that all those people coming from the city were on overtime, correct?
Well, I don't think they get to decide, but I think the city reserves that discretion of how we staff. If we have police officers that are going to be on schedule and they're going to be reprioritized, so there may be a combination.
And I do want to point out that staff's goal is to reduce time cost certainty. So cost of this, that is part of the process we do when we work with individual event organizers, because we want to mitigate the cost. It's not so much, let me put it this way, there is a toll on city staff for additional things. There is a cost to that, but it behooves us on both sides to address how we enable a special event. So that's one thing. And two, again, through the permit process writ large, what we are trying to do is find pathways to sort of ease cost burdens by event zones or understanding street patterns or, coming up with ways in which we can lower the potential cost for other
Right,
for
and
the
that's
event organizers.
understandable. I guess my bottom line is that I just don't want to see any event penalized because they were not able to raise the appropriate money to get their event done, and then everyone gets hurt in the end. So I would really want everyone involved to be very aware of that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Hilton.
Yeah, so it sounds like to me, and I agree with Councilmember Marques, that just let this remain fluid, right? If you see the need, don't be afraid to come back and ask for it. I mean, you already found the salary savings, so there's obviously other money around there too. Economic development is a huge priority of this council. So I would say, just don't come back and ask for additional funding.
And if I may, we would run this through the 2-year budget process. So we are simply mid-budget cycle. So we will continue to review every year.
Thank you.
All right, let's move to public comment.
I have no speakers.
Any further questions, comments? I have a comment. So going back a year or so when we first got into this, I thought it's pretty neat that at that time staff took a shot at $150,000 and almost nailed it. So that's number one. Number two, the fact that you guys are now going to have an application process that for some is almost a year in advance. This is going to be a cultural adjustment for a lot of the organizations in Gilroy. So be ready, organizations. The last minute application is coming to a screeching halt as of tonight, it feels like. So I know you guys said you're going to have to do some hand-holding, you're going to have to do some outreach, but at the end of the day, the burden is on the organization, and I think it's important for us council members to remind those organizations of that. So thank you for this process. I think it's going well. Let's go ahead and read it out. You can read these together, Kim, if you don't mind.
Thank you. We need a motion to adopt a resolution establishing a community event support program policy, formalizing a nonprofit subsidy program and community special events, and authorize staff to implement the fiscal year 2026-27 cycle using the updated timeline, review considerations, and reporting requirements.
Do I have some motions?
Motion.
I have a motion by Councilmember Klein.
Second.
I have a second by Councilmember Ramirez. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bracco?
Yes.
Councilmember Klein?
Yes.
Councilmember Fugazzi?
Yes.
Councilmember Hilton?
Aye.
Councilmember Marques?
Yes.
Councilmember Ramirez?
Yes.
Mayor Bozo?
Yes, motion passes 7-0. Moving on to item number 9, introduction of new business. Fiscal year 2026 quarterly budget and general fund forecast update and adoption of resolutions amending the budget and updating the position control list. Staff report, please.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, members of the community. Harjot Sangha, Finance Director. I'll be presenting the item before you, which is the quarterly budget update, and we also have a few other forecast update, as well as 2 resolutions, one to amend the budget, as well as the position control list. A little background. My presentation, again, similar to all other quarterly budget updates, will focus on the actionable items before the council, but if you have any questions specific to the narrative that's in the staff report, I'm happy to discuss that as well at the end or whenever you do desire. So some background. The current biennial budget was adopted in June of 2025. We have since then brought forward quarterly budget updates starting in October with the preliminary year-end report. November, you received the first quarterly budget update, and then tonight you're receiving the second quarterly budget update with some related action items. So specific to the action items that are requested by the council, with respect to position control list, annually, or with the budget adoption, the City Council establishes what's called a position control list, which is basically the number of authorized positions within each department. And we are bringing forward 3 adjustments to that position control list. 2 are within the administration department. One of them is the reclassification of the vacant assistant to the city administrator, reclassifying that to an assistant city administrator. That's naturally how that existing role has evolved within the administration's office and conducting a much higher level scope of work than the administrative nature that was intended at the beginning. The second item is an addition of a management assistant. This is purely to support the administrative efforts within the administration department. And then last but not least, outline is the administrative services adjustment, which was a management assistant position which became vacant due to a retirement, and then that anytime we have a retirement like that gives the department an opportunity to strategically analyze the role, what makes more sense for that position, and then make some adjustments accordingly. So within the administrative services department, that management assistant was reclassified as a human resources and risk management technician role. There are also related budget adjustments that are before you for council action, a total of 5. The first one is about $60,000 for a planning collaborative, which is basically a collaborative of about 5 or 6 agencies in the county that have hired a consultant to conduct a commercial nexus study and a feasibility analysis. This is the Gilroy's appropriate portion, and we're recommending it be funding out of the housing fund. The next one is $500,000 for the fire department. The fire department annually deploys firefighter strike teams on overtime, primarily due to requests for resources by the state. And then we also receive a related, all 100% of that overtime is reimbursed by the state, and as well as we get reimbursed for any kind of fleet that gets deployed and administrative overhead. So related reimbursement revenue is also going to be included to offset that. The next 2 items are coming out of the fleet fund. One is $100,000 for a potential purchase of a reserve fire engine. City of Mountain View is currently looking at surplusing a few of their fire engines because they are up for replacement. So we want to be, and they have committed to offering it up to other fire departments in the region. We are asking for a $100,000 authorization. If and when that opportunity becomes available, we'd like to analyze their fleet, and based on the analysis that we've done and the maintenance records, we want to be able to move on purchasing that reserve engine. The next item there is $90,000. This is again within our fleet fund. It's a request for a reappropriation relief from fiscal year 25, which we were not able to encumber to upfit the public safety vehicles primarily within our police department. And then the last one there is related to the position control adjustments. One is within the fiscal year 26, which is primarily the management assistant positions that we're adding, and then the 169 is a combined impact of the reclassification of the assistant city administrator as well as the management assistant, and that is for fiscal year 27. Also included with the update is a general fund forecast update. No material changes other than accommodating some of the position control impacts into the operating margins. So all in all, we do have a negative operating margins. Again, this was all planned as part of the adopted budget and subsequent adjustments to the forecast, primarily the decrease in sales tax revenue. So all that is going to be offset by the fund balances, access fund balances. So the other thing I'd like to call out is the fund balance as a percent. The bottom red line, as you can see, for the current fiscal year, we're projecting to have about 34%, and then that is expected to decline in the outer years, especially during the forecast years, to about 32 to 31%. All that to say, it is a very tight gap as we're forecasting currently. All that to say, we are maintaining the required 30% in the forecast at this time. A couple things on the horizon that we are keeping an eye on. One of the items I mentioned in the narrative is the Public Facilities Impact Fee Fund. We're closely monitoring the revenues in that fund, which are generated primarily by development projects that are occurring in the city. So that fund does, it is a timing issue, is what we're anticipating of when those funds might be received. It might require some sort of a stopgap measure in the interim, but we will monitor that in Q3 as well as Q4 if that ultimately is warranted or not. Generally, what we see is a lot of the development projects will materialize after the winter season and when they want to proceed, and any kind of related applicable fees that may be applied to those projects, they are paid at that time. So again, wanted to mention that is something that we're keeping an eye on. The next item is the increase in the cost of services obtained through the county. This is not, again, just an impact to the city of Gilroy. This is an impact to all regional agencies that obtain or contract with the county for key services. And I think one of the items that you as a council are aware of is the emergency medical dispatching, EMD related costs that we previewed with you with the 1-year approval about a year ago. Those costs are continuing to rise. There are other services like the animal shelter program that we contract with the county. We also obtain some IT related services through them as well. So all that to say is when we do have those cost estimates firmed up, we will come before you possibly with the next Q3 to give you a overview of what the city has historically paid as well as what those services are going to cost in the near future. And now what's driving that is essentially this, similar to us, City of Gilroy, us conducting sort of a cost of service analysis or cost allocation where we update our fees, if you will. County has similarly done that exercise as well and determined that there's a lot of overhead that was not being captured in a lot of the fees that they were charging the partners. So they're essentially truing that up, if you will, and rolling that out in a phased approach. The other thing that we're watching is the insurance premiums. We have received workers' compensation estimates, insurance estimates for fiscal year 2027. They're slightly above than what we had budgeted, and we're anticipating similar impacts to flow through our general liability, which is our property insurance, which we'll get in the next month or so, some estimates. Again, depending on what's the budget versus what the actuals come into, they may require some sort of a budget adjustment. And I'm saying all this to say is because a large portion of that insurance or workers' comp gets charged back to the general fund because that's where those services are funded out of. The next item there is labor negotiations. So we have 2 groups that are now embarking on negotiations that have MOUs expiring in June. So that process will be commencing. So we'll keep the council apprised of how those negotiations go about. And last but not least is the geopolitical events and the related economic impacts. They're primarily 2 folds in here. Is one, as you know, the cost of energy. Both oil as well as gas are impacted. So we are no exception to that impact because we also procure oil as well. And then the other greater impact that I'm personally watching is the impact it has on the market volatility. And anytime we have market volatility, it impacts obviously our number one cost, which is CalPERS. So it's very important to us to kind of watch that, and any kind of mark that CalPERS may miss on not meeting its targets will directly impact the unfunded accrued liability, which they've worked quite well on, and the city has set aside dollars in Section 115 that we've talked about, so things like that. So those are all things that are on the horizon, stuff that we're keeping an eye on. As those materialize or we have some estimates directly to Gilroy, we'll go ahead and include those with the future budget updates. So that completes my report, and the recommendations again before you are to receive the report, adopt the two resolutions. One is for the updated position control list for fiscal year 26 and 27, and then the budget amendments that I've outlined in my slide. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, I'm going to go first to Councilmember Ramirez, and then Councilmember Fugazzi.
Thank you. Great report as always. I do have a couple of questions, and it's interesting that the several things that you brought up are the items that I highlighted when I was reading through the report. So I do, with regards to the Public Facilities Fund, if that is not resolved, can we put a moratorium? I mean, is that something that we...
Not necessarily. I think, again, it's just purely a timing issue. So we're not, I don't think that issue is not that severe at this moment. That even if there were concerns of not generating enough, I think we would just look at the program in itself to see, are we adequately assessing the applicable fees in today's market for that, for those developments. So I think that would be the question. I don't think it would warrant some sort of a moratorium on development.
Okay. Then with regards to the county and the increases of their fees, when you bring something back when it's time to renew the contracts, will you be looking at alternate, are there even alternate vendors, if you will, that provide the same services? And
yeah. So I'll just preview. I think there are going to be certain services that are we holistically taking a look at alternative options? The answer is yes. But there may be some services like the emergency medical dispatch that it's not an easy solve, but we're actively having discussions on what potential that might look like, and then whether there's a opportunity for a regional collaboration because other agencies in the region are also impacted. So those are the conversations that we're having. And then at the same time, depending on the service, is there a alternative, either third-party private vendor or another entity? Perhaps, we always go to the north. Is there an opportunity in the south, possibly to get those services?
And when you come back with those contracts, will you be able to provide us information about how well the services were provided? Were they providing the service that they were contracted to provide?
Sure, I can give that feedback to the department head. So they may not all flow through finance. So these are, again, various departments, but we'll take that feedback and provide it. So if and when those do come forward, that we provide that indication.
Yeah, I'd like to know if we're getting what we're paying for, especially if we're going to be paying these increased costs.
Sure.
Then also, one of the concerns... I do have a question. If you go back on a slide there with regards, one more, I think, the 90,000 fiscal year 26 public safety vehicle uplifting, because a couple meetings ago, last meeting in February, we approved 370 for fiscal year 26-27. So help me understand these two different.
That's purely the award was for who's going to do the work. To obtain, so we awarded 2 on-call service contracts. So that way we have options. We're not always going to be dependent on going to one vendor due to bottlenecking issues and things of that nature. So that's who's going to do the work, and this is really the actual work that needs to get done. We also need to have budgetary appropriations for those.
Okay.
Yeah. And this is, again, primarily it could have possibly came together, but I think we were trying to firm up the numbers of exactly how much we need in order to get the work done based on the vehicles that are pending.
Okay. And then, I certainly, I just want to be mindful, we're looking at, these tight numbers, and I think that we've done, and I congratulate staff, and, I think council has done a lot of work on this too. We've done some of the things that we have set forth as priorities. We've hired a new city administrator who has then, hired an economic development director, and we're hitting a number of these, and I certainly support these staffing, the reorg kind of staffing items that were presented so that we can be efficient and can hit these priorities. But I do want to make sure that, especially as we go into these study sessions, that we have still some flexibility to hit, I know we're probably not going to get all of what we wanted in terms of our priorities, but I want to make sure that, some of those are still available, that we still have money to move forward and hit some of the priorities. We are a very aggressive group of people, and I just want to make sure there's money there to do that. I know for myself, I am still concerned about public safety and boosting that up. So that's the only thing I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Fugazzi.
A couple of questions. First of all, for my benefit and maybe also for the public, and I don't know if it's you, Arjo, or if it's the city administrator himself, could identify the purpose, since in our prior budgeting and everything, we did not determine this particular reclassification or this assistant position. The reasoning behind us making this change to the one position and the addition of another administrative assistant, so to speak, into that group, if it was not asked for or granted to the previous city administrator. I'm not saying it's not valid, but I think it's worthy to have that discussion. Do you want to take that?
Thank you, Councilmember Fugazzi. Yeah, so as I was doing my homework for the work in the city of Gilroy, and I watched through your council priority setting session last year and the discussions that occurred then, and the goals that were talked about in the meetings between then and the day that I started, I noted that there were a lot of high-level management efforts that needed attention, that needed to be moved along, and clearly some struggle with organization in delivering on those. Did some comparison with our organization compared with other jurisdictions of similar or smaller sizes, and having an assistant city administrator role is common in all of those organizations in delivering the services. So that's the impetus behind that position itself. With respect to the assistant role, there's a significant amount of day-to-day work in keeping the office functioning and keeping it operating in an efficient way that falls to managers currently, and not a great use of manager resources in doing that kind of work, whether it be calendaring or coordinating or ordering office supplies or whatever it happens to be, things that are straightforward in their needs, but certainly a fair amount of need in that area where it made sense to have additional help in that particular field. Even amongst the other departments, it's pretty clear that the support in the manager's office, the city administrator's office, has been one that's been sort of the last to be met, and rightly so. So leading by example, but certainly a little bit of room to build back there.
So as a follow-up, then, and I completely support this, but again, obviously, when you're going back to a budget and adding $100-some thousand and another head count into a budget, it warrants this discussion. That this was likely an oversight by a prior city administrator, for right or wrong, that now we're correcting in order to get us in line to do the things that we want to do.
Yeah, that's the intent. I think it was intentional from the previous administrator, and probably
That's fine. No.
Wise move from my perspective.
I think it makes total sense. The The other question's an easy one on the fire truck. I love fire trucks. So the fire truck that we have now is a reserve. We're going to get rid of that, right? I'm thinking, yes. I'm like, well, actually, somebody, out in the Western Foothills probably pick it up before I would, just to help themselves on their ranches or whatever. But are we going to sell that and then we will recover part of that $100,000 or no?
I think that decision hasn't been made. We're also considering having 2 reserves and then possibly deploying in the interim until we get our new rigs. So that may ultimately what end up happening, but maybe a timing issue of when we get the...
Thank you very much. And thank you for such a great report, too. As always, you do a great job in answering almost all the questions before we even come to the meeting with your report. Thanks, Harjo.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Okay, we'll go to public comment.
Ron Kirkish.
Good evening. Since we're talking about the budget, one of our significant budget items is maintenance of our streets and our repair of our streets. I don't believe it was discussed in this meeting, but I still would like to bring up the fact that since Jimmy Forbes was our city administrator, we have not had a PCI, or Pavement Condition Index, report, which is, I understand, supposed to be reported every 2 years. And it was done every 2 years religiously by the planning department several years ago. From what I understand, I was told that Mr. Forbes wanted to wait to do the PCI report until after all the street maintenance was done. Well, it still hasn't been done, Matt, and if you don't mind, I'd like you to consider putting that on your agenda, on your work plan. We need the people, when the last report that we saw, our PCI was in the gutter and heading even farther south. I think the people of the city have a right to know all the money that we've spent on cleaning our streets and fixing them, repairing them. This money has had benefit, and to get to see that benefit would mean that we need to see a PCI report. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have no further speakers.
Any further questions or comments for staff?
Just a quick comment
Sure, go ahead.
about that assistant to the city administrator. I just want to point it out to you in case people don't realize it too, that'll be an at-will employee, not anyone with GMA or any other. Just wanted to point that out. Yeah, that's big, right? Because we talked about that during the interviews and stuff like that too with the city administrator. All right.
Thank you. Okay, I'll go ahead and entertain a motion. I'll read it this time for you. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to read all 3 of these. I'm going to entertain a motion to receive budget report for the second quarter of fiscal year 2025 and 26, and adopt a resolution approving the updated position control list for fiscal years 2025 and 26, as well as 2026 and 27, and adopt a budget amendment resolution. Looking for a motion in a second. I have a motion from Councilmember Fugati. I need a second.
Second.
I have a second from Councilmember Ramirez. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bracco?
Yes.
Councilmember Klein?
Yes.
Councilmember Fugazi?
Yes.
Councilmember Hilton?
Aye.
Councilmember Marques?
Yes.
Councilmember Ramirez?
Yes.
Mayor Boso?
Yes. Motion passes 7-0. Thank you, Harjo. Moving on to item number 9.2, 2025 General Plan and Housing Element Annual Progress Report. Take it away, Sharon.
All right. Good evening, Mayor, council members, and members of the community. Sharon Goey, Community Development Director. Tonight, we're going to present you our annual progress report on the implementation status of our general plan and housing element. Each year, the city prepares an annual progress report in compliance with the state law, which requires each jurisdiction to document their progress in implementing the general plan and housing element programs, as well as progress toward meeting the Regional Housing Needs Allocation, or RHNA, over an 8-year planning cycle. The annual progress report needs to be submitted to 2 state agencies, the California Department of Housing and Community Development, HCD, and the Governor's Office of Land Use and Climate Innovation, or LCI. And you need to submit the reports to the 2 agencies by April 1st every year. California has required local governments to plan for their community's local housing needs for many years. The RHNA process determines how many new homes at various affordability levels each jurisdiction must plan for in its housing element. The current 8-year RHNA cycle is from 2023 to 2031. The state assesses housing needs using income categories based on each county's area median income, or AMI. On the slide, you can see we've shown Santa Clara County's 4-person household income limits as an example. The current RHNA cycle allocation allocates units to 4 income categories: very low income, moderate income, and above moderate income. In September 2024, Assembly Bill 3093 was passed, and that became effective in 2025. This bill created 2 new income categories, acutely low income and extremely low income, in the RHNA process and throughout the housing element law. Acutely low income households earn up to 15% of AMI. Extremely low income households earn up to 30% of AMI. But there are no RHNA allocations for acutely low income and extreme low income categories. This is because we're among the jurisdictions that received our RHNA determination prior to the passage of the bill. And for all ABAC Bay Area jurisdictions, that's the case, and we were not allocated acutely low income and extremely low income allocations for RHNA units. But we do report units that are issued under these 2 income categories. And HCD counts acutely low income and extremely low income units issued during this cycle toward the very low income RHNA progress. And this info I just shared comes directly from HCD. Beginning with the next RHNA cycle, as a result of the bill, RHNA process will allocate units for acutely low income and extremely low income categories. And here's some of the rationale behind this bill. Acutely low income and extremely low income households are currently lumped together with the very low income category of RHNA, which serves households with income up to 50% AMI. Because this is a very wide range, very low income households typically serve the higher end of that range, and many render permanent housing in this income category unaffordable to residents in the much lower income range. And staff recognizes this, so even before the next RHNA cycle, we will work to develop approaches to meet the housing needs of our most vulnerable residents. So for the current RHNA cycle, HCD tracks RHNA allocations and progress for the 4 categories that you see on the screen there. 669 units under very low income category, 385 units under low income category, 200 under the moderate income, and 500 units under the above moderate. Regarding the affordability level for ADUs, ABAC has been administering an affordability survey to learn about newly built ADUs. Many jurisdictions, including us in Gilroy, we have been participating in this effort. Based on the results of the survey, HCD has agreed to ABAC jurisdictions continuing to use the 30-30-30-10 affordability split in the annual progress reports for 2025 and 2026. So ADU units issued are distributed among the 4 income categories according to those percentages. So 30% to very low income category, 30% to low income, 30% to moderate income, and 10% to above moderate income. And later on, you'll see the ADU units issued in Christie's presentation. As for our RHNA progress, the city's total RHNA allocation during the current planning cycle, as you see on the slides, 1,773 units across 4 affordability levels based on Santa Clara County's area median income. And you'll see later on in Christie's presentation that in 2025, we have issued a total of 37 residential unit building permits. And this is a low number compared to 23 and 24, where we issued close to 200 units per year. But we do want to know that we have been reviewing large multifamily projects so that we anticipate an increase in the units issued this year and the next 2 years. Now I'm going to hand this over to Michael Fasadi, our planning manager, to highlight the implementation progress of our general plan.
Thank you, Director Goey. Good evening, Michael Fasadi, Planning Manager of the City of Gilroy. As Director Goey had stated, every city and county must prepare a general plan and housing annual progress report. For the city of Gilroy, our general plan is organized into 8 elements, and each element has goals and policies that help guide the city's future. For Gilroy, those 8 elements include land use, mobility, economic prosperity, public facilities and services, parks and recreation, natural and cultural resources, potential hazards, environmental justice, and housing, which we'll speak to on last. Tonight, I'd like to walk you through each of these elements and share one highlight that took place in 2025 that illustrates how we are implementing our general plan in that specific area. For example, in the land use element goal, we've highlighted reflects the city's commitment to strengthening downtown Gilroy and encouraging neighborhood infill as a practical, sustainable way to add more housing. In 2025, planning staff moved its goal forward by partnering with the California High-Speed Rail Authority and Valley Transportation as on the Gilroy Station Area Visioning Study, which helps set the stage for future infrastructure investment for our downtown. The mobility element goal we highlighted connects directly to the launch of the Gilroy Blue Skies Initiative, our new effort to link transportation, clean air, and quality of life. Last year, we kicked off this community-driven climate and clean air planning initiative funded by a Caltrans grant, and it will continue through 2027 as we work with residents and partners to shape practical, on-the-ground solutions. Our economic prosperity element highlight focuses on how we were working with our regional partnerships. Last year, the city's economic development team hosted more than 30 economic developers, chamber representatives, and tourism experts for the Silicon Valley Economic Development Alliance monthly meeting, where we talked about how Gilroy can help accommodate visitors for major events like previously ran Super Bowl and the FIFA World Cup. Our public facilities and services element highlight is about our ongoing work to move forward with the Civic Center Master Plan. In 2025, the city completed a key portion of the environmental review for the potential Civic Center project, and we're now out in the community sharing the EIR findings with residents and stakeholders and listening to their feedback. The Parks and Recreation element is really about the continued investment the council has made in our parks and trails. During last year's budget process, the City Council approved a 2-year capital improvement program that set aside approximately $1.6 million for new trail construction and $2 million for citywide park improvements, including new pickleball courts. The natural and cultural resources elements highlight is our continued investment in cleaner alternative fuel vehicles for the community. For example, the city recently installed 2 new solar-powered electric vehicle charging stations at the corporate yard and purchased an electric utility vehicle using grant funding. The potential hazards element highlight is about investing in our youth as future community leaders. Last year, a group of our cadets attended a police explorer training in Southern California, where they went through intensive mental and physical exercises to build discipline and preparedness, and this kind of experience helps strengthen community involvement in hazard prevention. We also highlighted the important work the city is already doing to advance our environmental justice element goals and policies. This includes launching Gilroy Connect, powered by C-Click Fix, which allows residents to easily submit service requests related to city infrastructure, using CDBG funds to support the Meals on Wheels program, which delivers daily meals to our most vulnerable seniors, investing in Gilroy Blue Skies Initiative to better manage environmental concerns, and partnering with other public agencies such as the Santa Clara County Office of Supportive Housing to fund programs and address homelessness. I'd like to pass my time to Christy Thomas, our Housing and Community Services Manager, who can speak to our work needed to meet the housing element goals. Take it away, Christy.
Thank you, Michael. Good evening, Mayor, Council, residents, city staff. My name is Christy Thomas. I'm the Housing and Community Services Manager, and tonight I'm here presenting on the progress of our housing element goals. As Sharon mentioned earlier, the city is required to update the housing element of the general plan every 8 years. The housing element serves as the city's plan for how we will accommodate housing needs for residents at all income levels within the community. We are currently operating within the 2023 to 2031 housing element cycle. Gilroy's housing element, includes 7 goals and 65 programs that outline the policies, strategies, and actions the city will take to support housing production, preserve existing housing, and expand housing opportunities and resources for all residents. Next, I'll highlight several examples of progress made in 2025 across these housing element goals. While the annual progress report provides a full overview, these highlights reflect the collaborative work underway. The housing production goal highlight, forward movement of the 8th and Alexander 100% affordable project. Staff continued to collaborate with Santa Clara County Office of Supportive Housing on the project. The Santa Clara County Housing Authority has stepped forward as the developer. Stakeholder outreach has been taking place, and outreach efforts are now expanding to the broader community, with a final outreach report expected by the end of 2026. Removal of governmental constraints goal highlight is density bonus agreement. City staff executed a density bonus agreement for the 6630, 6680, and 6730 Monterey Road 100% affordable housing project. This project will deliver 94 affordable housing units serving extremely low income, very low income, and low income households. The Housing Preservation and Improvement Goal highlight is the pilot below market rate preservation program. In 2025, the city partnered with the Santa Clara County Office of Supportive Housing to launch a pilot below market rate BMR preservation program. Through this program, the city purchased 1 BMR resale unit and resold it to another low-income senior household while providing $134,000 in down payment assistance to maintain long-term affordability. The Housing Assistance Goal, pursue funding for affordable housing. City staff continued to pursue multiple funding opportunities for affordable housing, including permanent local housing allocation funding from the state, also known as PLHA, and it's administered by the county. Community Development Block Grant funding, also known as CDBG. Additional BMR preservation acquisition funding through the Santa Clara County Office of Supportive Housing. Staff will continue exploring additional opportunities to support housing programs in Gilroy. For the Special Housing Needs Goal highlight, promotion of rent, deposit, and utility assistance. In 2025, the city updated its water and sewer websites to include links to organizations that provide rent, deposit, and utility assistance funded by the city. The information was also added to monthly utility bills and late notices to ensure residents are aware of available assistance. The Affirmatively Furthering Fair Housing Goal highlight, fair housing counseling. CDBG and PLHA funding continue to support Project Sentinel, which provides fair housing counseling to Gilroy residents. City staff regularly provide referrals to this service and encourage Project Sentinel to participate in community outreach events. During Affordable Housing Month in May of 2025, the city partnered with Project Sentinel to host fair housing workshops in both English and Spanish. Education and Outreach Goal highlight, Developer Roundtable. During the Affordable Housing Month in May of 2025, city staff hosted its first annual Developer Roundtable. All known developers working within the city of Gilroy were invited, and 29 developers and property owners attended and discussed housing development opportunities and challenges within the community. These highlights represent only a small portion of work over the past year. Staff will continue advancing these efforts in partnership with other divisions within the Community Development Department, with Santa Clara County, housing providers, and community organizations to increase housing opportunities and ensure residents are aware of the resources available to them. Next, I'll provide a brief update on the city's progress towards meeting our Regional Housing Needs Allocation, also known as RHNA. The Regional Housing Needs Allocation, or RHNA, establishes how many new housing units each local jurisdiction must plan for during the housing element cycle, and it also specifies the levels of the income levels that those must serve. For the current housing element cycle, Gilroy's RHNA allocation is 1,773 units. These units are distributed across all the income categories. These include 669 units for very low income households, 385 units for low income households, 200 units for moderate income households and 519 units for above moderate income households. In addition to the RENA allocation, the table on the slide provides a breakdown of the units permitted each year in our current cycle, the affordability level, and the remaining units needed to meet the city's RENA obligations for the current housing element cycle. So in 2025, we permitted 9 very low income units, 9 low income, 9 moderate, and 10 above moderate, for a total of 37 units. We have the next 6 years to complete issuance of another 1,340 remaining units. We do feel confident that we will meet the majority of our unit allocation based on multi and single family developments in our pipeline currently. The very low income category will be a challenge to reach without additional deeply affordable multifamily projects. So our accessory dwelling units. Among the units permitted in 2025, accessory dwelling units, or ADUs, continue to play an important role, particularly in helping the city meet its very low, low, and moderate income RENA categories. There were 29 ADUs permitted during the 2025 year, so really the majority of our RENA. Okay, that's.
So staff's recommendations for council to accept the report and direct staff to submit the 2025 annual progress report to the California Department of Housing and Community Development and the Governor's Office of Land Use and Climate Innovation no later than April 1st, 2026. So that concludes our presentation. We're happy to answer any questions. And as you saw, this was a lot of teamwork. So I want to take this opportunity to thank our planning and housing teams led by Michael and Christy for their tremendous effort and the ongoing work in implementing the general plan and housing element. Thank you.
Okay, I'll do some questions. I'm going to go to Hilton, then I'll go to Fugazzi.
Thank you. Yeah, great teamwork. I like the transition between you guys and all that stuff. I can tell. So I appreciate that. I also appreciate you recognizing the, at least showing that we haven't done any of the extremely low income housing. So could you briefly just talk about those state laws that have passed before that one that you talked about where the next RENA cycle is going to have it, where we are still responsible for at least projecting 50% of that very low income number as ELI, and how you do that, how you think about it besides just reporting it?
Yes, so prior to AB 3093, right, that's what you're talking about. Yeah, the state has been kind of letting folks using the assumption that the VLI RENA allocation, you can assume half of that as the ELI category, the extremely low income category. And this was for informational purposes, and they have stated that that's not tied to any statutory requirements. And as I've noted that, we recognize the needs in our community, especially so that even before this next RENA cycle, we're going to try to work on developing some approaches and strategies to try to, come up with ways to really assist our residents in those lowest spectrum of the income.
Thank you, because we're being lobbied heavily hard right now for those folks that live down in those income categories. Mm-hmm. So I think it's important that we recognize them, even if it is just a once a year on a planning report. So I appreciate you all putting that in there. The other question I had is on one of the programs. So the inclusionary housing program. I know we pivoted to going towards that county collaborative. And last year it was reported that in fall of 2025 it would be completed and then implemented by June of 2026. But that looks like it's been updated to just in progress. So can you talk a little bit about that change and that delay?
Yes, so actually we've been actively participating in the grant access study through the Santa Clara County Planning Collaborative. And a draft report is supposed to be coming out pretty soon, actually almost finalized for that study. And then after that, staff is going to work on developing some policy framework so that we can bring the results of study and some policy framework discussion for the council to consider. And we're projecting to do that by this summer.
So it is still planned for 2026?
It's still in 2026 in terms of that work.
Because that's not what it said in the report. That would be maybe, I don't know, maybe that's an update you guys can use. It just says it's in progress. So I'll move on to the next one. Is one of the programs that we promised at the end of 2025 was the E12, the Downtown Expansion District and First Street Mixed Use Corridor Flexibility. This is not so much of a question, it's more of just a comment. This is another one that kind of keeps getting tangled up into what's sort of been called as like, oh, we're going to put that in the comprehensive zoning update. I can tell you I've been hearing that for a long time. Our current general plan was approved November of 2020, and that's when the zoning code should have been updated, and it's been 6 years since, and I know there's been different iterations, different contractors, different planning commissions seen it a couple times, so this is just something that I'd like to be able to talk about during these upcoming strategic planning sessions, just talk about what that means and how we're moving forward with that. Thank you.
Councilmember Fugati.
Yeah, first question, comparative progress to other cities. Can you give us any kind of feedback? Obviously, we're 2% of our RENA goal in 1 year when it's an 8-year goal, so it's 12%, so we're at 17% of where we should be in 1 year. So how are other cities doing, just kind of on average? Are they all doing this far down? And what do you think those barriers are?
Yeah, and actually from the regional meetings that we participate in, other cities are kind of in a similar boat in terms of having a lot more above moderate income units achieved versus the lower ones. And as I mentioned, we've been reviewing a lot of large multifamily projects, so I think that's going to help us out in the next couple of years. But the Grand Nexus study, which will lead to the framework and the policy, hopefully for the affordable housing requirements, those will really help us target the lower income categories in the future. So when that becomes effective, the projects that come in will be subject to those requirements, and that's going to help us achieve, especially the much lower income categories.
So what are if you bring 29 developers in to a roundtable, you're going to get some feedback, I guess. What are the, at least local, barriers that that we could be or should be looking at as a city, and obviously from policy perspective here on the council, to help drive those numbers up?
I know funding's always been a challenge pretty much in every jurisdiction. So seeking for more funding from the county, from the state, and from federal levels, that's going to really help us.
No, I'm talking about for the developers. The developers are the ones who are making the housing, not us, obviously. And so the environment has to exist for them to be able to want to do that, right? And so we have to create the environment that makes them want to do that, and they have to be giving us feedback, I would assume, as to why they're not doing it. And so some of those barriers, obviously, we can't do anything about. Interest rates, okay, for instance, are one of them. Over onerous multifamily regulation. Many of these kinds of things are out of our control. Well, I guess some of those may come to us at some point. But what can we do? Is there anything that we aren't doing that you guys are going to bring to us and say, hey, this is what we need you guys on council to help us with to bring these numbers up? Because it's alarming, if it matters. I don't know. Are there consequences for this? If we hit 162 in 8 years out of 1,700, what's our consequence?
State has been emphasizing to the jurisdictions to try to achieve their arena goals. But as far as programs we're looking at as part of looking into this, developing the affordable housing framework and policy, we're looking to developing some incentives. So the state already has the density bonus law, which provides for more units, higher densities, and also other things that you can waive for the projects. So that will help decrease some of the costs so that they can provide the affordable
So we're going to be seeing stuff like that come before
coming
the council?
forward, correct.
Okay. I saw here that you guys think right now, I didn't see any real forecast other than a forecast for the remaining, 6 years or what have you in bulk, right? But do you have, or are you producing kind of a year by year following I'm in sales, right? So that's what we do. We forecast out, and then we go, how did we do against our forecast? And so when I hear somebody say, yeah, we look like we're going to hit the majority, that means we're going to hit over 700 at 2031. How are we getting there? Do we have a forecast for that and a way to look at that? So even 1 year out, what are we going to have next year?
Yes, and as I mentioned, we've been reviewing some of these large multifamily projects. So one of the projects, and part of it is, for example, the project on Monterey that Christy talked about, the 100% affordable project. We thought the building permit could have been issued last year, but because they have to work on the site remediation and due to the rain, they had to kind of slow down that work. So the building permit hasn't been issued yet, and it's the building permit issuance for the unit construction that counts for the arena goals, for that year.
But I think what would be helpful, if I can interrupt you for a
Correct.
sec, is
Yeah,
that's the permitted stuff. But if we can see the pipeline, like there's Los Animas too, right?
That's exactly, yes, what I'm
So
going to
it
talk
looks,
about.
to me, and maybe to the public as well, a lot worse than it may be without understanding the rest of the pipeline, right? Again, back to my own thing with sales, you look at the pipeline as a funnel. We have all these things coming in that we expect, and here's the short term and the long term.
Yeah. So even that Monterey project, until it's issued, we're still looking at it as a pipeline. So that one, we're looking at 21 very low income units, 72 low income units, and one above moderate. That's the manager's unit for the Monterey 100% affordable project. And for Las Animas, because such a large project, it's a total of 530 units, so we anticipate probably the units will be issued possibly next year and the year after, so more of a 2 to 3 year outlook. That one will provide us 106 low-income units, so that will give us a big boost into the low-income category, and then 424 above moderate units.
Right, but we've got like a 600 for very low income.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah, and so there are more projects that are just coming in as preliminary applications. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
So I think he has a point. I think we were really better on showing our pipeline when we were doing the initial housing element process, right? We talked about it all the time up here. So I think, as you guys pivot through this report, or maybe even something you can just sort of stick in as correspondence, have that pipeline available to us, because we know that changes. Like some of us could have been assuming that we would see those Monterey projects on there, but now we don't. So I agree with you. It's something that I know you paid attention to when we were doing the housing element process, but we talked about pipeline a lot, but we didn't really talk about it at all tonight, besides the notes you just gave. So that would be good. My opinion on what we can do up here is to be good storytellers, right? Talk about all the different ways that we have supported projects, whether it's the 100% affordable one on 8th and Alexander by waiving impact fees. I think that was done prior council. That was a couple $1 million that we said, hey, if you bring that deeply affordable housing here, here's what we will do for you. And then, there's the housing trust fund and multiple other things. So I think we can be good storytellers ourselves when someone says, like, oh, I'm frustrated with you guys. I need this or that. You could probably draw examples of where we've actually done that. Or even before my time up here, different things that we did in the downtown to spur the residential development that's down there. I know we waived impact fees in downtown for a while too. Last thing I just want to say, a success is the continuation of these ADUs. In our goal, we wanted 25 a year, and every single year, we've exceeded that. So, kudos to you all. I'm not sure if you've ever analyzed or ever thought about how is this program still working, or what's a success. I would say you guys are doing a great job in the marketing and trying to really get out there. So yeah, I think that's a success. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to go to public comment.
Ron Kirkish.
We've been addressing this extremely low income ELI issue for several years, and we don't ever really make any improvement on it. The saying goes, money talks and BS walks. And that's what developers are saying to us. Give us some money and we'll do it. They'll build anything. Heck, they'll build little race cars for kids out of wood. So if they got the money, they're going to do it. The deal is we can talk about what can we do to incentivize these people to invest in building low-income houses. It's money. What can we do and you do? I don't know. But what can the state do? What can the county do? That's, Kelly, last time you said we need to get the state and the county to get involved in the homeless problem. Well, they need to get involved in this problem too. And that means to get them involved, you're going to have to call them up. You're going to have meetings with them. You're going to have to talk to your counterpoints in other cities to get this ball moving. It's not going to be doing it by doing what we're doing today. We got to get going. And that means get some energy, get some people behind it, and get some talking going. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have no further speakers.
Any further questions or comments for Sharon? Councilmember Ramirez?
So I just want to point out something. The work that you guys do on this is, I mean, beyond what we can even appreciate. So I want to thank you for that. Can you just very generally, high level, talk about this current RENA period versus like the last two previous in terms of workload on staff, given all of the new building laws, housing laws that have come into play from the state? It used to be, a few pages, and now it's, thousands and thousands of pages. Can you speak to that just high level?
Yes, and you're correct. Due to the state legislation that's passed, and also just the housing challenges, that's being experienced by everybody throughout the state. The amount of work that's gone into even creating the housing element, as you've seen, that was a lot of staff work. And now having to carry out 65 programs in over the 8 years, it's a lot of staff effort, a lot of teamwork, and staff is trying to be efficient as we can, but we do need some outside resources, and that's something we're continuing to look into. And kind of like what Councilmember Hilton had alluded to, some of the programs will need to be achieved through the zoning co-update, and even since I've been here, we've already transitioned between 4 staff members, and I think before I got here, there was another possibly 2 to 3. So, even from the time the general plan was passed in 2020 to now, we just keep having staff turnover that, so we're going to need some dedicated resources, to be able to achieve that. And even in the annual progress report itself, even the last last RENA cycle, the report was literally just one little spreadsheet that just basically each income category, you show how many units. And this spreadsheet has grown every year into many, many tabs and many, many, many rows and columns. It's, so every year we have to attend a webinar in addition to study a whole instruction handout that's, I think, 40 to 50 pages on how to fill out the annual progress report. So, we understand all the needs, but also just some challenges in terms of staff resource.
So I just think that that you and your staff need to be recognized for all of the increase in workload over the last, few cycles of this that the state has imposed on not just us, but on all jurisdictions. And certainly, I appreciate the work that you guys do, and I can only imagine the stress you're under for this. So I will say that when I was up, Rivas, Assembly Speaker Robert Rivas had us set for the legislative date, and one of the things that he talked about was that he would like to see is no more laws that have to do with housing until we have reviewed, because there's like 500 new laws that come in at least every year that impact housing. And so he'd like to kind of put a pause so that we can review the laws and determine whether we're achieving them, whether they're necessary, all of these different things, whether they're duplicative in nature. So I would like to see us get behind that and really support that effort by him, because I think that it is becoming just ridiculous what they're expecting of you and your staff when it comes to the housing laws. So I just want to point out all the work you do and show my appreciation for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments for staff? I'm going to go ahead and entertain a motion to accept the report and direct staff to submit the 2025 annual progress report to the California Department of Housing and Community Development and the Governor's Office of Land Use and Climate Innovation no later than April 1st, 2026.
So moved.
I have a motion by Councilmember Hilton. I need a second, please.
Second.
I have a second by Councilmember Ramirez. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bracco?
Yes.
Councilmember Klein?
Yes.
Councilmember Fugazi?
Yes.
Councilmember Hilton?
Aye.
Councilmember Marques?
Yes.
Councilmember Ramirez?
Yes.
Mayor Boso?
Yes, motion passes 7-0. Moving on to item number 10, future council-initiated agenda items. Staff report, please.
Thank you again, Mayor Bozo. Good evening, City Council. We have an item 10.1, request to direct staff to provide council with options regarding the addition of public hearings to the architectural and site review permit process. Staff received a fair memo from Councilmember Ramirez and Marques regarding the City of Gilroy architectural and site permit review process. We've included the language from the City Code with your attachments. Under the City Code, architectural and site permits are reviewed and analyzed by staff and do not require public hearing to approve. Some architectural and site permits are issued together with other permits, such as a subdivision or a planned unit development. These require review by the Planning Commission and approval by the City Council, hence the need for a public hearing. We provided a chart here where you can see what permits require a public hearing. When an architectural and site permit has certain conditions, such as when the permit is for an accessory structure that goes over 12 feet in height, they require a public hearing. There are other times when this architectural and site permit includes a tentative map to subdivide the property. That also would require a public hearing. At this time, and per the fair memo, we're asking direction on how you'd like staff to proceed with this proposal. This concludes staff's summary of the project. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Just as a reminder, since this was the first time we did this, one of these last time, I don't believe that we're going to need a lot of explanation from the authors of this future agenda item. If there's some brief statements about it, please feel free to go ahead. But then if there's questions from the rest of us, this is what we should be focused on. So if there's brief comments, otherwise we've read it. Go ahead.
Brief comment. So Councilmember Marques and I worked on this with our city attorney. This stemmed from the resident concerns regarding the AWS data center. I want to point out very quickly, the data center staff followed procedures correctly. There were no shortcuts. They were transparent. They anticipated concerns and created a dedicated webpage on the city website. And they were responsive to residents' concerns and updated the webpage with an FAQ. But we learned some lessons, and it appears that we need to be more communicative, especially with projects that may cause concerns to residents. So how and what my fellow council member and I are asking is, we basically want to allow staff to provide to council options for consideration. We recognize this is your wheelhouse, and so we want to allow latitude for you to consider and provide options. And I think that it's more about communication than it is about, it is neither of our expectation to have all these projects come before us and have public hearings on all of them. If there's an environmental concern, something like that's different. But I think that really, if something is identified, there needs to just be additional communication, maybe in the weekly newsletter or through our communication channels. Perhaps if we continue to update the page on our website that shows the projects that are in the pipeline, if we maybe can include a link to that in our weekly newsletter. These are just some ideas that I have come up with, but I would really like to, both Councilmember Marques and I would like staff to provide us with some recommendations and options so that when something like AWS comes along, that the residents are informed in advance and we can hear their concerns.
Thank you for the somewhat brief statement. Appreciate it. Are there any questions for Councilmember Ramirez or Councilmember Marques? Let's go to public comment, please.
I have two speakers, Landon Sepulveda and then Ron Kirkish, please.
Good evening, council members, and to those in the gallery. My name is Leonard Sepulveda. I am the lead organizer for our campaign, Stop the Gilroy Data Center. Currently, our petition against the data center has over 5,000 signatures from residents of Gilroy and the surrounding area. It is my belief and the belief of my organization that if this data center would have come to a public hearing, it would have not been approved within Gilroy. These residents would have made their opinion clear to the council, and the community would have been better off for it. Projects like the data center and any other high consumption facilities are extremely important to the residents of Gilroy, as they will be directly affected with an increase in water and energy bills and water and noise pollution in our city. Transparency in close-knit towns like ours is extremely important. Everyone in Gilroy should have a chance to be heard and speak out against potential projects. I would also like to thank council members Marques and Ramirez for listening to the residents and bringing this to the council. And I would also like to thank Councilmember Hilton for informing me and my organization of this piece of agenda tonight. Thank you all very much for your time and dedication to our city. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello again. National Semiconductor, IBM, Fairchild, AMD, Hewlett-Packard. I sent you all an email that detailed how much water and much power that these companies used over the years. And it's much more. And these were all going at the time. And there was not a problem with power or water during all this time. They were using millions and millions of gallons a day. But we have a data center here now that people are all aroused about because they use some water and they use power. Not even close to the amount of power that IBM alone met versus all the other semiconductor companies. So I don't understand why all the hullabaloo. We got plenty of water. We have underground 650,000 square feet of water. That's enough water, from what Frank, our supervisor, says, to last 5 years during a drought. 5 years. Our wells go down 15,000 feet. That was something that Don Gage told me when he was a water guy. So we got copious amounts of water. We're going to have Lexington on board here pretty soon. So with the experience we've had with the semiconductors, most of them aren't even working anymore, aren't even here anymore. So we could actually use the water that they're not using and the power. So this is ridiculous. These data centers are going to be good for our city, for our country, and I expect you guys to use common sense. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I have no further speakers.
Any further questions or comments? Go ahead, Councilmember Hilton.
I just want to, I'm totally comfortable with supporting this, and since we're directing staff on it, and hopefully those that drafted the fair memo agree with us too, that when you bring this back and talk to us, to also maybe give us a short little introduction to what you can and can't deny based on facts and findings. I think that's really important for this community to understand that we don't sit up here and just think on the dais like whether we want it or don't want it. It has nothing to do with our feelings. So I think that's really important to make that clear. Otherwise, we're just going to bring a whole other slew of stuff along with us about why we didn't vote that project down or that. I think that's important. Thank you.
Thank you. Further comments or questions? Okay, I'm going to entertain a motion for council consideration of this future agenda item.
Thumbs up, isn't it?
I've been directed by the city attorney that this was a vote.
Roll call vote for this.
Okay, I'll get back to where I was. I'll entertain a motion for council consideration of a future agenda item directing staff to return to council with options regarding the addition of public hearings to the architectural and site review permit process.
So moved.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Ramirez.
Second.
And a second by Councilmember Marques. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bracco?
No.
Councilmember Klein?
Yes.
Councilmember Fugazzi?
No.
Councilmember Hilton?
Aye.
Councilmember Marques?
Yes.
Councilmember Ramirez?
Yes.
Mayor Bozo?
Yes, motion passes 5-2. Moving on to item number 11, City Administrator's Report.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple of things just to
Capture highlights. So in my continued efforts to reach out to community, I met with CMAP folks, Kelly and Maddie, this morning. Had a great conversation with them. Not a beginning of a contract conversation, but more a discussion on where they are in terms of their engagement with the community and in their operations. I also talked with County Health regarding all things health in the community, especially around walking and biking to schools and e-bikes, given the upcoming presentation that the city is making. We talked with Gilroy Gardens this week on continuing contract negotiations with Gilroy Gardens. And although I missed having a Sharks Ice meeting because of a canceled airline flight from one of the attendees, we are looking to reschedule that, and hope is that happens by the end of the month. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Moving on to the city attorney's report.
No report.
Okay. The meeting's adjourned at 8:35 p.m. Thank you.